Thank you for joining me tonight. I've been busy in the last few days, gotten yen to do trading cards and wanted to try different uh, things, from people to skulls, uh, the wood fairy vehicles, animals, and the landscape. Uh, I find that trading cards give me an opportunity to try many things I wouldn't normally try. I live in a small farmhouse, so I have limited wall space. And for me, I've found that if I can tool it on a trading card, if I tool a bigger piece, it's generally easier. I'm not saying that's where you should start, because tooling smaller is much harder than larger, um, but it works for me. And plus, I trade these cards, so it gives me a benefit too. So, what we're going to look at today is how to evaluate your work, because looking at your work and evaluating it is just as important as learning new skills. Because if you don't evaluate what you're doing, how do you know if those new skills are working right? So, we're going to move aside a bunch of these and we're going to focus on the last one that I just did. Uh, and before we get started, there's a couple things that I like to do. Uh, One, I want to give myself a little time to step back from doing the tooling, because it's either going to be I love it and it's the best thing since sliced bread, or that's horrible and I should just throw it in the trash. Uh, but if it's, a few hours later, sometimes it has to be a day or two later. And then I am rested, um, and I can take a fresh look at the piece. With my job in manufacturing, um, when you're looking at improving efficiency and lowering scrap rates, you need to identify and document the defects, because sometimes a large defect that's just in your face and it happens, and um, it's going to stick in your head, but it might be a smaller defect that happens on a regular basis, that's caught and, let's say, just thrown away or sent to rework or um, regrind. So by documenting things, you can see a tracked history, and then you just start at the highest percentage number of defects and you work your way down. Uh, and that's kind of the method here. Uh, by documenting it, uh, I like to have a notebook, um, where I can write things down um, on this isn't going to work quite right. I'm going to have to switch over because I'm a lefty. So there we go. This will work. Um, First, I'll put a date. Uh, the what the piece is, and then what we'll do is we'll start looking at the piece itself, and first thing we'll do is we're going to look at it and we're going to go, okay, what is the one thing that stands out to me the most that I'm not quite happy with? And for me, this right here stands out to me the most. I tried a new technique for grass using a hair blade, and in these areas, I remember when I was flicking it, it was actually catching more, and I was actually ripping up some of the leather just a little bit. And I remember doing a little bit up here. I remember here I didn't do it as much, but my leather, I had just wet it. So my leather was a little bit moister. Over here it was a little bit drier. So what I'll do is I'll come over and I'll put down, the grass. Um, Around edge. Uh, and you can put down the reason. And I used a hair blade. Uh, and it was the large one, and I forgot the number, but I'm just going to put down large. Uh, and you just need to make notes that work for you. Flicking, uh, dry, uh, more problems. And see on the edge here, I had problems because I had to be careful flicking it so I didn't hit the edge. So that was the biggest one that we saw. Uh, then we can look. Let me try to set this so it doesn't flicker in and out. Uh, Next biggest thing that stands to me is the front stairs right here. They didn't show up well to me. Um, So it could be that when I was tracing the pattern, um, I didn't trace it, and I did clean it up a little bit in here, and you can see that I didn't put everything in um, because of the size of the piece, and my focus was on the building and the shrubs right here. If I have too much, then it helps to draw your focus away from the building, and I want to keep the focus in here. But the stairs, or steps, uh, they're not defined. And when you're doing this, don't be hard on yourself. You're doing this so that you can work on these items and improve. Um, Now, we're going to look again and see right here and here. I'm not as happy with the leaves in the trees. I want to see what I can do to improve those. And they're just not shaped right. So, and on this one, I would say texture. So what I'm doing is I'm looking for the biggest things. You know, you can go down through and list as many as you want, um, or just target the top 3 and work on improving those. But once you get done listing those items, we also want to look at positives that we did well. Um, I'm happy with how the bushes came out on the front. Because um, they have a good texture and they're defined. Uh, the tree on the corner, even though I was talking about the grass here, I still like the effect that it gave me. I just need to work on those darker spots. Um, so the overall, uh, I was happy. It's just I've got to uh, modify what I'm doing a little bit to improve it. I'm happy with the clapboard. Um, I'm happy with the screen texture. Um, and one thing I'm not terribly happy with is the texture in the sky. Um, that was one of my smaller texture patterns, um, or checker patterns. But that's one of the things that, when doing it small, you're going to have to work with is um, what might be good in an 8 by 10 or 5 by 7 or 4 by 6 is not that good in a 2.5 by 4 because it accentuates it. The purpose of doing this is to give you areas, and over here you can come in and fill out more information of what you liked and why you didn't like it, and possibly what you want to try to correct it. Um, by keeping a ledger here, whether it's on the computer, however you want to track it, you can come back to it and you can see if there's a consistent pattern of my trees. The leaves aren't defined, um, or I'm getting a lot of the grass messed up continually through. Then I'll know I've really got to sit down and focus more energy on those two areas to try to improve. Um, and our goal is whoever you admire, whether that be Jurgen Volbach, Annie Libertini, Jim Linnell, Don Gonzalez, you know, pick out people who are top in the field, okay, and strive to reach their level. You, and just like me, I'm not there for the ones that I want to um, be like, but yet, if I'm focusing on them, then, the old saying, shoot for the stars, hit the moon. Um, it's a positive. Um, and then you can, if they're doing something that is very comparable to what you're doing, you can compare yours to them. Uh, you can compare yours to Al Stolman if you can get one of the books, or you're fortunate enough to be in an area where you can see his work. Um, those are great ways to gauge yourself. What I would say is Be careful about gauging yourself against mediocre people. I don't want to gauge myself against them because I want to be like the top people. I want to gauge myself against them because that's where I want to be. I hope this helps you in how I evaluate the pieces that I do so that it can help me on my journey. I try to go with the negative and the positive. By ending with the positive, it helps build you up a little bit. Have a blessed day and happy tooling. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.